study, and when the pay and class study comes out, we just say if it's anything other than that, then the pay and class study should cover it. If they have to give us another 1 or 2%, then we're fine with that. But in this budget, we're simply asking for that 10%, that $4.12 an hour, to be implemented into the salaries of the blue-collar workers. It's real simple with us this year. We don't want to go in, we don't want to say 3, 4%, we're saying 10%, because we know it can happen. We've seen police and fire get it over the past few years. So that is all we're asking. I think it's a simple ask, and I see it's already in the budget because they're already getting it. They're just not getting in, it's not added on to their salary. It don't go towards their retirement. And that's what we striving for. We want to implement it into our salary. So if y'all got any questions, y'all come on with it. How you doing, Matt? Didn't see you over there.
Yeah, let me just start with an observation. We have our HR commissioner is in attendance to listen.
Hey, how you doing, Ms. Smith?
To listen to y'all, which I think is a great sign and something we haven't always seen in the past during union presentations. And I ran into her in the parking garage this morning and asked her for some of the answers to some of the questions you've raised.
Yes.
Now, and when HR comes up to present, I think we're all going to have a lot of overlapping questions around the topics that you've raised. But Mr. Lewis, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
And Mr. Thornhill and AFSCME, I appreciate y'all for coming in again today. I remember last year when you came in and you worked with the council, worked with the mayor's office. I could tell you had done a lot of homework before you came in because you heard about the pay and class study and you heard they were implementing that for other departments. And you were patient. I saw you go back to your members and try to explain it the best way you could.
Yes.
That they weren't going to get anything added to their base pay.
Yes.
And what we did see was folks understand and accept the 412 because they felt that 412 was a huge change to their lives. But
yes.
What I also saw is that they weren't getting it in their salary, which means it's not affecting their pension.
No.
And we know what keeps folks in the city of Atlanta in a city job, because we can't compete with the private sector, is the benefits on the backside of it.
Yes.
And what increases your pension, imagine working 3 years, right? Because you recently retired. And I know a lot of times our pension, I sit on the pension board for the city of Atlanta, talk about I worked for AFSCME in a retiree department where I focus on the 3 pillars of retirement. And so to me, the only fight we got against the private sector in this moment is to build up all of our benefits on the back end. So to work for 3 years like you just did in the pandemic, under that, with that $4.12 added, how did that affect your pension on the back end?
It didn't.
How so?
It didn't affect it because it's just, when you get it, it's just added on a separate little box, okay, you know, with that pay in it. It's no overtime. It's always the same thing. Now, your regular pay, you get overtime with that. But I don't care how much overtime you work, that little $500 is just going to be the $500.
Okay, so I want to follow that on. To come in and ask for currently the 412 to be permanent, I'm thinking of myself as an employee for the city of Atlanta. For the past 3 years, we know we have the highest minimum wage in the state of Georgia. We are the city with our chests out. And so we say $15 an hour, right, to convince you to come. We asked you to put your life on the line in the pandemic, to go down in our sewers, to put your hand in our toilets, to keep our roads clean. And so we gave you an extra $4.12 per hour. Yes. And so if I'm living on that for 3 years, my family treats me better because my pay is up, and I adjust my life. Because it's been 3 years y'all been living with that,
definitely,
right? So I've adjusted my life to now making 19 and 12 cents. And so is there, I want to ask the chair, is there a chance that this is not renewed?
We're going to have the opportunity to dig into that when we hear from HR. So when it was premium pay, it was a subject that came up individually every year. But I think what we're going to hear from the commissioner is that structurally that's been changed.
Okay.
And we'll hear more about that later. To piggyback, if I can, on something important that you brought up in terms of pension parameters, as you know, an actuarial firm has been hired to start looking at the dials and needles that we can tweak and move, that'll help in that regard. But go ahead.
Yeah. And I say that because if I've been living and paying my bills now, and I've adjusted to this $4.12 rate, I don't know how we can, as a city, because we've seen folks, they've adjusted their life to it. I think we send people into poverty if we were to take that $4.12 back. I think that we would lose employees if we take that $4.12, because I know folks that have never received a raise when they came to work for the city of Atlanta. And so this $4.12 to them has been a lifesaver. So I stand with you on that. And you saying the $4.12 is a 10% raise, or are you saying 10% or $4.12? Or are you?
412 is about 10%.
Okay, so we want $4.12.
Yeah.
So
Which
it's
implemented to our salaries, yes.
And so you ain't asking for, I want to make sure, so you're not asking for anything over that $4.12?
If that's implemented into our salaries, then at that point, with what we do in the pay and class study, once that's done, whatever comes out of that, if it's another 2% or another 3%, then give us that. But for now, that 412 is critical.
And they've already, I'll give up the microphone after this, but I will say that the 412 that folks have been living with for the past 3 years, you are asking to make that base pay, nothing else currently right now today. So
truth be told, that is what we were told it would be last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? You said it would be implemented into our salaries. That's what we were told last year. So we just standing on what we were told last year.
I appreciate you for coming in
Yes.
today, Mr. Thornhill.
Yeah.
Others with questions or comments for the union today? And so y'all are aware the budget's online. I assume you
Yes.
have access
Yes.
to it. All right. Well, so HR is scheduled to be before us on Wednesday, May 17th at 10 a.m. So I would recommend that you
I would definitely be
here
here.
and tune into that and keep the lines of communication open with the commissioner in the meantime.
I definitely talked to her. She knew exactly what I was going to say because her and I have had that conversation.
Okay. Excellent.
All right.
If there's nothing else,
That is it.
we'll let you go.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You late, Mary? Yeah, you missed it.
Mr. Thornhill was very brief.
Hold on.
So they didn't ask for one other dollar. They said that the last 12 departments have received 10% raises for the past 4 years. That's more than
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, it must be a budget hearing because we went from like an hour behind to like a half hour ahead. So that gives us time to go back to our offices because our next presenters, Pace, they are not here yet. So let's come back here at 2 if we can to hear from Pace. Until then, we are again in recess. Thank you.